This is how to do a redneck alignment. First, you roll the car up back and forth a little bit without using the brakes to get the wheel nice and centered. You sit there looking at it, kind of roll back and forth. You don't want to use the brakes because that'll tweak the suspension a little bit. And then you stop and you park. Then you take a brick and a string and get the string behind the tire so that you're going to be pulling it across the tire at the same spot. Ideally, you kind of aim for having it just at the rim. That way you know it's at the same spot. Then, up at the front wheel, you pick some place you can recognize on both sides. I'm using the bottom edge of the center cap to line the string up. Then, you push it up close until the string touches. You see how it's just touching the tire there, just as it's touching it here. This wheel and this car, the rear track, the rear wheels are 3 millimeters closer into the center line. So that means that this car has now, because I just did it, has a little smidgen toe out. It's about 1/4 of a degree actually, if you do the math. So, that looks nice on that side. Let's go look at the other side. Pick up the brick. Put the brick back here, nice and far back, so that when we pull it around, it'll be coming on the same spot on the wheel. And the string's going to go line up just on the bottom edge of the rim or the height of the brick. Doesn't matter. It's close enough, because by the time it gets all the way over here, it straightens out. Now, we're going to see. Now, line up where the same spot as the other one, just at the bottom edge of the center cap. String is just touching the tire there. But look, it's hard to see it. It's about a whole 4 millimeters out on this side. So this wheel is actually pointed in when it's supposed to be pointed out. Time to adjust it. Okay, so now I turned the wheel so I'll be able to access the tie rod. Got my precision tools all ready. And what I got to do is loosen this lock nut without turning the tie rod, without putting too much torque on the tie rod end, which could mess up the ball joint in there. So I'm going to grab this with the vice grips, going to loosen this, hold this to make sure it's not going too far, going to back this off a little bit so we can tighten it. Tie rod is about halfway from the pivot point to the outside edge. I saw I needed about 4 millimeters of moving the front of the wheel out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back this off about 2 millimeters, screw this in 2 millimeters. That'll pull this back towards the center of the car 2 millimeters, which should move the front end of the tire, because this is halfway, 4 millimeters out, and I'll bet it'll be good to go. Let's go. Now the reason I'm doing this is because the alignment's off. It's got toe in when this car's not supposed to have it, and it makes it act funny when the road's not straight and when it's wet and all kinds of things, and the tires will get worn out doing that. But how to get that way is probably sometime. I replaced the suspension arms because the ball joints were worn out and the bushings. This ain't supposed to be like this, you know. So anyway, at some point after this bushing, which is fallen out now, got all worn out, is somebody got the alignment adjusted to compensate for the wrecked bushing. And then when I replaced the suspension arms with the nice, fresh, proper bushings, that changed the alignment, made it improper. So it's going to be nice now. See? Grab onto the tie rod with the vice grip. Grab onto the lock nut. And then I gotta use 2 hands to do this, but I would hold on to the vice grip to keep it from moving too much, and I just back off this lock nut. Okay, so I It's hard to hold the camera in here. So I backed off the lock nut, and now just turn tie rod a couple of times. I can't see nothing here. That ain't good. Shit. Okay, can't really see nothing in here. Okay, there's the tie rod. Goes up. There's the lock nut backed off. Here's the tie rod end. Grab the tie rod with a 13, as happens on this car. Now I'm going to tighten it so it's going to pull the back of the wheel towards the center of the car. Quarter turn. I'm going to do it 2 times, another quarter turn. Another quarter turn. Except, anybody notice? Like an idiot, I'm going the wrong way. I gotta concentrate. Okay, so I straighten the wheel again inside the car, make sure the wheel is nice and straight, roll it back and forth a little bit without using the brakes so this wheel settled in nice. Now I gotta check again both sides because I maybe didn't get it quite straight with the wheel, but I tightened that side 2.5 turns is what I did on the tie rod, considering the length of the threads and the fact that this side of the wheel was 4 millimeters too far inward. I pulled the center, which is here to here, someplace pretty much in the middle is where the tie rod is. So if I pull that 2 millimeters in, that should pull this out 4. That was the plan. So I go back, get my string again, make sure it's going over the edge of the wheel at more or less the same spot. It's a little bit low over there. Come on, string. There we go. Right up at, line up at the bottom edge of the rim. Take it to the same place I was doing it before, which is the bottom edge of the center cap, and I get it. It's touching the outside. It's touching the front too soon. That, and then it's got about 2 millimeters gap there. Now I'm just going to hope that that's because the wheel isn't quite as centered. So when I go over on the other side, we'll account for that. Put the brick back, get my string, make sure it's on the bottom edge of the rim, not there, bottom edge of the rim, back across to the bottom edge of the center cap. And here, oh, here it's perfect. Touches there and there exactly the same time. Okay. That means I did it too much on the other side. Let me go check it again. But I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm just going to have to loosen up where I over-tightened the tie rod. Come on, string. It's cold too. There we go. Bottom edge of the rim, bottom edge of the center cap, and it's touching there. 2 millimeters out there. That means I got to push the back edge of the wheel out. I'm thinking half a turn. Rotate get the wheel going. I'll be good to go. Alright, time to have at it. Now that the lock nut and everything's loose, I can reach it and do it easy without having to change get in and turn the wheel or anything. So I just turned it a half turn, line it up to the bottom. Oh, almost. Let me see. It's just touching on the outside. A little bit more. it touches here and it's just barely touching there. I'm going to give it a quarter turn more. Okay, I did 1/4 turn. Pull that string up over. See, it's lining up with the bottom edge of the rim, bottom edge of the center cap, and it touching. Oh, it's like I did it with a laser beam. Okay, now it's time to tighten up the lock ring and take it for a test drive. And there we go. The jet-powered Stilo is tracking like a freight train.